The Senate will come to order. Members, please stand for the prayer. Today's chaplain is our Senate chaplain, Pastor Mike Smith from Redeeming Love Church in Maplewood. And following the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, Senators. The Hebrew prophet Zechariah said these words to the government leader of his time. "It is not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. So who are you, O great mountain, that you would stand in our way? But you will be brought down with a shout of grace, grace." So, Father, today we know, oh God, today we know that there are mountains that are in our way. There are mountains that keep us away from the plan and purpose that you have for us and for our state. There are mountains that stand in the way of vision and hope. So today we speak to and we overcome those mountains. We overcome the mountain of discouragement with courage. We overcome the mountain of darkness with light, and we overcome the mountain of hate with love. We overcome the mountain of all forms of racism with mutual longing for equality. We overcome the mountain of poverty with personal generosity, and we overcome the mountain of offense with forgiveness. And Lord, we overcome the mountain of manipulation or deceit with integrity and truth. We overcome the mountain of weariness with strength that comes from heaven. And, Heavenly Father, we overcome the mountain of fear with God's perfect love. God, you are an almighty God. You're full of compassion, and you have all wisdom and knowledge. You know us, and yet you love us deeply. You're our Creator. You're the one who sustains us. And you're the one who knows everything about us. And so, Lord, today, help us to see our circumstances that we face. Help us to see the struggles, and help us to see the solutions to those struggles. Help us to see those problems clearly, but also to see the promise to overcome. And Lord, as many of us observe Passover this next week, may we remember that you are our God who saves and protects when we call on your name. As many of us observe Good Friday this next week, may we remember the last words of Jesus on the cross when he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Because so often, Lord, we are so unaware of our own wrong, and we need mercy. And as many of us observe Easter, may we remember the promise that there's new life, there's hope, and there's healing for our land. So today, I pray that your tangible grace and presence would rest over Minnesota and over this chamber. Amen. Yeah, you too. It's good to see you, Cap. One of the reasons why I come down here too is because of the relationship.
Secretary will take the roll.
Senators Abler, Anderson, Bach, Benson, Bigham, Carlson, Chamberlain, Champion, Clausen, Coleman, Swedzinski, Dames, Dibble, Dornick, Draheim, Duckworth, Dietzick, Eaton, Eichhorn, Eakin, Fate, Franzen, Frenz, Gazelka, Goggin, Herr, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Ingebrigtsen, Isaacson, Jasinski, Johnson, Johnson, Stewart, Kent, Kiffmeyer, Klein, Coran, Kunish, Lang, Latz, Limmer, Marty, Matthews, McEwen, Miller, Murphy, Nelson, Newman, Newton, Osmick, Pappas, Port, Pratt, Putnam, Rarick, Rest, Rosen, Rude, Senjum, Tomasoni, Torres Ray, Utke, Weber, Westrom, Uyghur, Wickland.
Pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members intend to vote under Rule 40.7. Senators Anderson, Bigham, Carlson, Champion, Clausen, Coleman, Dibble, Eaton, Eakin, Fate, Ingebrigtsen, Isaacson, Latz, Marty, Nelson, Newman, Newton, Osmic, Arrest, Senjum, Torres-Ray, Weber, and Wicklund. A quorum is present. Members will begin on the agenda today with the second order of business, executive and official communications. The communications listed in the agenda were received and referred as indicated. There's no further action required on that order of business. Next, we'll move to the third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the messages.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following Senate files herewith returned. Senate File Number 395, a bill for an act relating to domestic violence, enacting the Uniform Recognition and Enforcement of Canadian Orders for Protection Act. Senate File Number 440, a bill for an act relating to real property, clarifying ownership definitions.
There's no action required on those two messages. The Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following House files herewith transmitted. House File Numbers 333, 652, and 1438. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
There's no action required on that message. Next, we'll move to the fourth order of business, first reading of House bills. The House files listed in the agenda will be given their first reading and referred as indicated. Next, we'll move to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee reports be adopted with the exception of the reports pertaining to Joint Rule 2.03 and the reports pertaining to appointments.
Discussion on the Gazelka motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that reports pertaining to appointments be laid on the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. Next, we'll move to the sixth order of business, second reading of Senate bills. The Secretary will read the Senate file numbers.
Senate File Number 1182.
This Senate file is given its second reading. Next, we'll move to the eighth order of business, introduction and first reading of Senate bills. Listed in today's introduction calendar are Senate file numbers 2200 through 2264. There's a change on page 4. Senate file number 2230 will be referred to the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety, Finance, and Policy. These Senate files are given their first reading and referred as indicated. We have two more introductions to be read by the Secretary. The Secretary will read the first one.
Senators Rest, Nelson, Dietzick, Klein, and Murphy introduce Senate File Number 2265, a bill for an act relating to taxation.
Senate File 2265 will be referred to the Committee on Taxes. The Secretary will read the next Senate file number.
Senators Nelson, Rest, Bach, Miller, and Gazelka introduce Senate File Number 2266, a bill for an act relating to taxation.
Senate file number 2266 will be given its first reading and referred to taxes. Senate resolution numbers 41 and 42 will be referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration. Remaining under motions and resolutions. Okay. Members, remaining under motions and resolutions, there are several authors' motions listed in the agenda. We'll take these authors' motions as one motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senate resolution numbers 41 and 42 will be referred to the Committee on Rules and Administration. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills be made for special orders for immediate consideration. Members, the sheet is on your desk.
Members, the first bill up for consideration is number 62 on general order, Senate File 710, Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I'm both humbled and honored to be here to present to you this morning. This is a bill, it's bipartisan legislation aimed at affording our school districts and school boards flexibility to best serve our kids and communities. Under this bill, Public School Revenue Redirection Authority is provided for the 2020-2021 school year only to allow local boards to redirect any reserved or restricted revenue to another use. The funds must not already be encumbered by federal law or for salary and benefits, and further, no additional state or local levy effect must take place. A school board using this authority must adopt a written resolution outlining the purpose for and the amount of the funds being redirected. This legislation is supported by the Minnesota School Boards Association and others, which view it as a tool to deal with unique circumstances caused by the pandemic. I'd like to thank co-authors, Senators Chamberlain, Coleman, Eichhorn, and Clausen. Like I mentioned, it is a bipartisan bill, and it did pass unanimously out of the Education, Finance, and Policy Committee. That completes my comments, Mr. President.
Discussion on Senate File 710, Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of Senate File 710. It is needed. It provides needed flexibility. I'll remind members that we did pass an earlier version of this last session. Also, there was an executive order when school districts had requested this. Even better news today is the liberation of funds from the Legislative Advisory Committee for Summer School, and that's going to help districts as they go through recovery. Thank you. Urge a yes vote.
Any further discussion on Senate File 710? The Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 710, a bill for an act relating to education.
Third reading. Members, any final discussion on Senate File 710? We're on final passage of Senate File 710. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Along with members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in rooms 237 and 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 237 and 206. Members, we are under a roll call vote. Please take your discussions outside the chamber so we can hear those reporting votes under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Bigham votes aye.
Bigham votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes aye.
Champion votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes aye.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes aye.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes aye.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes aye.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes aye.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes aye.
Isaacson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Marty votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes aye.
Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes aye.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmic votes aye.
Osmic votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Weber votes aye.
Weber votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 65 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and is titled agreed to. The next bill up for consideration is number 61 on general orders, Senate File 819, Senator Dornick.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Senate File 819 is bipartisan supported. It's a short call substitute pilot program. This bill is designed to address the serious issue of massive substitute teacher shortage. It would create a 3-year pilot program to address this shortage and to support our children, our families, and our educators. The executive director of the Human Resources at Austin Public School came up with the idea for this bill. The answers to many of our problems can be solved as we listen to the members of our constituents. When we ask legislators, as legislators go out to districts, we need to listen to them. And that's what I've done. And that's where the idea for this bill came. Our school districts are asking for the ability to fill their classrooms and make their decisions in the hiring of their substitute teachers right now in this time of shortage of teachers. Superintendents are also advocating for this bill based on the critical needs to maintain in-person instruction. It will help to support our kids, their families, and our educators. And I too want to thank my co-authors. Let's see, Eichhorn, Chamberlain, Duckworth, and Huffman. With that, Mr. President, I will yield for any discussions or questions.
Discussion on Senate File 819, Senator Uyghur.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Dornick, for bringing this to our attention. Absolutely, there's a shortage of substitute teachers, as there is for teachers. You go to the higher education website, it'll show the dramatic need for special ed for teachers in agriculture, career tech, math, in each region of our state. This bill, however, would reduce the bar for serving. Instead of a Bachelor of Arts now, it would be a Associate of Arts or relevant experience of 5 years. We understand we're in a desperate situation, but in rolling this out, we need to be absolutely sure that the students' safety is well served. So I want to make sure that in the background checks that everything is uncovered, and I had some questions in terms of doing that due diligence as to assuring that. And I also thought, well, we have a shortage in school bus drivers. Would we take that license and no longer require a commercial one, or for the various type vehicles? Would we reevaluate the requirements in their test? I don't think so, because of student safety. Their lives are potentially at risk and danger. So we put a high bar. In fact, we have many districts and private companies have a $3,000 signing bonus to be a school bus driver. And I would suggest that money would help really address this longer term, and there's no resources in here other than just reducing the eligibility. So that's a challenge we need to look at in terms of what we pay. And is it just good enough to have a warm body? Is that in the best interest of students? So let's look at that. And I think the pilot program goes too long for an additional 2 school years beyond that. So I wanted to share those comments. I'm very aware of the need, but continue to be concerned about whether the students' best safety interests will be served. Thank you.
Next on the list, I have Senator Kunish, followed by Senator Dames. Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. The A3 amendment that I would like to offer ensures 4 things. First of all, it's going to
Senator
ensure...
Kunish, let's offer the amendment
pardon me.
first so it's in front of the members.
Pardon me.
Senator Kunish offers the A3 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Kunish moves to amend Senate File Number 819 as follows, page 1, line 8, after request insert. This is the A3 amendment.
Now to the A3. Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this A3 amendment does 4 things. It's going to ensure a robust background check for our short-term subs. It will require a sub-license through PELSB to guarantee that those working with our students and our staff meet the very minimum requirements. It will also allow for this pilot to continue through the summer for additional support to our schools. And lastly, it will require a report to PELSB on any issues in which subs might have had during their time in order to track the issue. Background checks used by some of our districts might not be as robust as FBI fingerprint background checks that are required by PELSB. And so I feel it is absolutely pertinent that we make sure that those rigorous background checks are installed. The BCA, or the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, does the FBI fingerprint check, and it does a full search on the national databases. There are many articles or instances in the past years where we have seen districts who are so desperate for substitute teachers not do that rigorous background check and have had incidences of violations, sexual predators, and those sort of things. And so it's absolutely apparent that the FBI background check is taken and that applies through PELSB so that all ethical violations against teaching license in the state are achieved. Also, this bill does not require an individual to receive a substitute license from PELSB, which means that if an individual is released from a sub job for any ethical reasons, they'll not be reported to PELSB and then can go on to teach at another school. According to PELSB, almost every month they receive discipline cases of individuals with a substitute license. If this bill were to pass, an individual could, for example, act inappropriately or make sexual comments toward their students and not be held accountable. The district, of course, would probably not employ them anymore, but because they don't hold a license, PELSB could take no action, and thus there would be no record of this behavior. That individual could simply substitute in another district and cause the same harm over and over. This amendment requires PELSB to be notified of any deviant behavior of substitute teachers. The last thing that this amendment does is it allows districts who are satisfied with the performance of their short-term subs to allow them to keep them through the summer school season with a stop date at August 15th. That way, they'll be prepared to substitute teach during the school year, should we, God willing, go back to school full-time this fall. So members, I think there is a way to expand qualifications to broaden the pool of substitutes, but this bill does too much to ignore the safety concerns for our most vulnerable, our children, and we're not able to support it well enough. As long as there are breaks in public school hiring systems, children will not be completely safe from predators lurking in our schools. And so with those concerns in mind, I ask for a green vote on the A3 amendment, and I ask for a roll call.
A roll call has been requested. Roll call granted. Members, I'm told that there was a delay for the amendment being posted online, but it is available online. And as always, if you need a copy of the amendment, just let one of the pages know, and they will give you a paper copy. Discussion on the A3 amendment. Senator Dornick?
Thank you, Mr. President, and Senator Kunish for the question and the amendment. So we already have a background check that is in this bill. This bill still requires the substitute teachers go through a rigorous background checks. In fact, it's the same background checks that are required for school bus drivers, school administrators, and coaches. So and plus we have the local schools, districts, the superintendents. We trust them, we have faith in them, and many of the people that they hire are going to be local too. So we do have that covered. And as far as the oversight for Pelsby, we too, again, are giving the ability to local schools to hire teachers in this time of emergency. There's a shortage of substitutes. We need them in the classroom. Again, this is to help the kids, the teachers, and the educators, for the parents. So there still is oversight to Pelsby when the schools hire a teacher, a substitute teacher. They still have to send the information to Pelsby, so they still have some oversight. So I oppose this amendment and would vote red. Thank you, Mr. President.
Discussion on the A3 amendment. Senator Swedzinski, followed by Senator Chamberlain. Senator Swedzinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of the amendment. Yeah, we have a serious sub shortage in our schools right now, and I appreciate the senator's the bill to try to address the sub shortage. Our administrators are scrambling every morning, and our principals are scrambling every morning to try to find subs for the building. Our teachers are sacrificing their prep hours and when they're supposed to be preparing their lesson plans and emailing parents and meeting with kids, and instead of doing what they're supposed to do there in their prep, they're substituting for one of their colleagues. This is a pretty serious problem in our schools right now, is the sub shortage, and I just don't see this as being a solution to the problem. I was in a line in a restaurant, socially distanced, on Thursday night, and we were just chatting with a bunch of people we never met before, and one of them I asked what I do, and I told them what I did, and I talked about this bill, and that we were going to be debating it on Monday. And what this parent, and what I got a bunch of head nods on from the other parents in the group, is they do not want, when they send their kid to school and they find out that their classroom teacher was not in the class that day, they want to be rest assured that the substitute will be in the classroom under the same safeguards as their permanent classroom teacher. So again, Mr. President, I'm supporting the amendment.
Further discussion on the A3 amendment. Senator Chamberlain, followed by Senator Rarick. Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President, members. First of all, a reminder, vote no in red on this. Appreciate the discussion. However, the amendment changes the intent of the bill. This is about kids, relief to kids and families and parents, and kids and families and educators. That's what this is about. They asked us, it's supported by the administrators, to address an emergency situation, kids families, educators as a result of the shutdowns of the school. That's all this is. It's temporary. Doesn't change current law. And to Senator Uyghur's comment, everything he said was not correct. It wasn't correct, members. It doesn't change current law. And the background check is in the bill on page 1.9, on line 1.9. So we appreciate the concern that has been expressed, but priority are how do the districts best support in meeting the needs of kids, families, and educators. This is how we keep kids in school. It's temporary, does not change current state law. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. Doesn't change current state law. The background check is there. You're not letting criminals in the classroom. That's just completely false. And to call these warm bodies, Senator Uyghur, I want you to go back to all those folks that are in Tier 1 right now, because this talks about Tier 1 licensure. This talks about Tier 1 licensure. The teachers are already in Tier 1, the ones that want to be on the pathway to full licensure. And you just called them warm bodies. Let that sink in. These are professionals wanting to dedicate their time and lives to educating kids. They're not just warm bodies. Kids, families, educators. Temporary to meet this crisis. That's all this is. So I urge you a red vote on this, because these are not just warm bodies. They're in the current system, and we're not changing that licensure statute at all. Thank you, members.
Further discussion on the A3 amendment, Senator Rarick, followed by Senator Pratt. Senator Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, this amendment is just not needed for this bill. The bill as it is what is needed to help our schools. And let's think about this for a little bit, and I'll use myself as an example. I was on our apprenticeship committee for IBW 110, and we had a need for instructors for our night classes. I went through a little program and became a teacher in our night program for 2.5 years. Was I the best teacher available? Probably not, but the thing is, it was a code class. I had 6 years of code class myself, and I had on-the-job experience that I brought to that class. And at the end, the students in that class appreciated my approach and the way I taught the class, because I brought in what we did on the job. Then later, our church had a need for catechism instructors. I did that as well for 5 years. Was I the best qualified person in the church to probably do that? Probably not. But I brought my experiences to that class, and I helped those students along a journey, hopefully. And I think many of us in this chamber could look back on our experiences, and we probably have superintendents or principals who would love, if they needed a substitute teacher in their civics class, that we would go through what the bill asks us to do, which is very simple, and be available for a couple of days if needed. And we have many people in our communities who could do that very same thing and bring that work and life experience to a classroom for a day or two. So when we talk about a warm body being there just to take up time, let's think about how many times we had a substitute teacher when we were in school who was outside of their area. And they had a sheet of paper in front of them that said, here, do this, do that, and they gave that to the students, and that's what you did. They couldn't really help beyond that. It was outside of their issue area. I think any one of us in this chamber was capable of doing that same thing. So if you're opposed to this bill, you're really opposed to our rural schools and our smaller school districts being able to keep their classes in person with someone in front who might actually be able to bring a little different perspective and bring something that might trigger one of the students to say, hey, that's a course in life I might want to take myself.
So members, let's vote no on the amendment and vote yes on the bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Next on the A3 amendment, we have Senator Pratt, followed by Senator Johnson-Stewart. Senator Pratt.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Senator Chamberlain for his comments, because he's exactly right. What we're talking about are very similar criteria to what we already have in Tier 1. And what we're talking about, members, is a pilot. A pilot. If a school district doesn't like the criteria, if they can't find somebody, and we're talking about a short-term sub, 15 days or less. I'm sure that Senator Uyghur, his superintendent, Ms. Osorio, if she felt uncomfortable hiring somebody, she wouldn't hire them. She wouldn't bring them in. And we're requiring a background check, the same background check we require for coaches and activities, volunteers. This is a background check process that has worked, it's tried, it's true, it's existing. And I don't know why we would try to, one, cut the term of this pilot just to see if it works. And two, why we would make it more difficult for our students to be in the classroom, learning together, under the direction of licensed professionals. Senator Dornick, this is a very common sense bill. As a member, I ask, this is not about student safety. Student safety is covered in this bill. So members, I ask for your yes vote in support of the Dornick bill and a no vote on the A3 amendment.
Further discussion on the A3 amendment, Senator Johnson-Stewart.
Thank you, President. I rise as a teacher, like Senator Rarick. I too have spent many years actually in the classroom, 30 precisely, not just sharing my experience, but actually creating lesson plans, creating course objectives, applying pedagogy and science to teaching, because it is extremely important that we don't just put warm bodies into the classroom or people who might have good experience, but we sincerely try our best. Now, I actually asked for a written copy of this amendment because I can't quite figure out what that has to do with the amendment. And I'm reading from it that this amendment requires that a district that hires a short call substitute under this section must submit a written complaint to the board under Minnesota statutes, Section 122A.20, for any conduct that is ground for licensure, revocation, suspension, or denial. As a mother, a grandmother, an experienced teacher, the daughter of teachers, the granddaughter of teachers, I think you get the picture. I rise in support of this amendment because my friend and colleague, also a teacher, Senator Kunish, understands the importance of protecting our children from any substitute teacher who might do wrong. As she noted in her statement, if somebody acts inappropriately towards a student, whether they're a substitute or not, other districts should know about that. We have hundreds of school districts in Minnesota, and to say that this doesn't happen is just not true. It's in fact false. I read the paper every morning. We routinely read about coaches and teachers who act inappropriately to other students. The only reason we know about it is because there's a legitimate complaint process. So right now, I can't imagine how anybody would vote against Senator Kunish's amendment and would be against school districts sharing information about inappropriate behavior. I can't even imagine. Senator Swadzinski talked about talking to parents. I am a parent. I don't want this to happen, and I will be voting yes on this amendment, and I can't imagine why anybody would vote no. Thank you, President.
Further discussion on the A3 amendment, Senator Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to briefly point out one aspect why you'd want to vote no on the A3 amendment. Senator Dornick's underlying bill gives the Senate File 819 an opportunity to be tested within the school. Obviously, it's a pilot program, so we'd want some data on that to see how effective it is. However, the A3 amendment effectively makes Senate File 819 stillborn by creating the August 15th expiration date on it. There's no time to gather data or try out the pilot program itself, which would defeat the whole purpose of this bill. So I'd encourage a no vote on the A3 amendment.
Final discussion on the A3 amendment, Senator Putnam.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Dornick, for bringing this issue to our attention, and Senator Kanesh for attempting to fix some certain parts of it. You know, a lot of us bring our own experiences into our work here, Mr. President, and I've been a substitute teacher. I've taught 2nd grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, high school, junior college, and 4 different universities. And let me be perfectly clear. When I was teaching 2nd grade, I was bad. I was really, really, really bad at it. You know, if it weren't for a panoply of Star Wars references, they would have eaten me alive. And what we think we don't understand, especially when we talk about teaching, Mr. President, is that it's more than mastery of content, it's mastery of a skill. Teaching is a job that requires work to become good at. You know, we have references for other experiences, notions of like teaching exclusively from our experiences, and frankly, I have issues with Tier 1 as well. But there's more to teaching than mastery of content. You have to know how to make that content meaningful and purposeful for the particular type of student that you're teaching. I'm a pretty good college professor, but I am horrible at 2nd grade. I might be talking about citizenship in either of those contexts, but I do it well in one and poorly in the other. You know, one of the things that bothers me, in a sense, Mr. President, not just about this bill, but about our culture more generally, is it seems like we've given up on work. If you want to be good at something, you have to put in some work to become good at it. And I rise in favor of this amendment and against this bill because I think our students and our kids deserve people who have done the work to become good at what they do. That we need to respect labor and the skills that it takes to do something well, even in the context of an emergency. You know, my wife is an assistant superintendent of public schools in 742, and I asked her about this. There are people who are qualified to do this work, and if we started to support and respect that work, more people would rise up to do it. So, Mr. President, I say again, I speak in favor of the amendment and against this bill. Thank you.
Final discussion on the A3 amendment, Senator Uyghur, followed by Senator Kunish. Senator Uyghur.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and to Senator Rarig and others that may have taken umbrage when I referred to warm bodies. You're more than that. The service as a substitute teacher is appreciated, and my opening comment said we should be paying them more to get to the underlining issue. The amendment by Senator Kunish addresses very important concerns on safety. As Senator Johnson Stewart mentioned, why wouldn't we report ethical violations? They do happen. Why wouldn't we report an ethical violation to the state? If you do not report that, then any other district would not have any idea what happened. You want to read about this someday in the news where this may have happened, someone slipped through the cracks, an investigative report, and then they ask, well, how did this happen? Well, it was a pilot. Well, did anyone talk about some additional safeguards on ethics, sexual misconduct, other items that are reported to the board? This does not require such reporting. That's fact. It's in the amendment to address it. The other item on background check, I'm led to believe that it is more stringent with the system that Pelsby has for licensed teachers. And I'll just refer to an email in the last few days from the director as they were not testifying before the committee. The reference is a background check required by the district is not as robust as the FBI fingerprint background check required by Pelsby. The central difference, as we have been informed by the BCA, is that the FBI fingerprint check does a full search of all national databases. Additionally, applying through PELSB checks all ethics violations against a teaching license in other states. There's not many people that are going to be in violation, and most people are good. But for those that are not good actors, there needs to be a way to report that. This reporting would be addressed in the amendment. And let's have it be a pilot program, assess it, and if the amendment goes on, certainly we could support it. Thank you.
Members were on the A3 amendment. Final comments. Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make it clear, this is not a hostile amendment. It in no way undermines the need or minimizes the need for substitute teachers, quality substitute teachers in our school. For 25 years, I've taught, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to teaching and to substitute teaching administration as well. The whole intent and the heart of this amendment is to ensure that when the background checks are done, they are done at the highest quality. This is, we've seen so many instances where folks with bad intent have entered our schools, have entered our programs, and we want to make sure that that is happening all the time. From what I understand, PELSB spoke with a representative at the BCA and was told that FBI background checks completed by BCA provided more information from the national database than district background checks required as a statute. We want to make sure that the background check that is done for the substitute teachers is done at the highest quality and not just at the district's discretion. And then, of course, as you've heard lots of times here, we want to make sure that if there is an issue, that it's reported to PELSB so that they can track it. So we can make sure that those that have or might cause harm to our children or our schools or staff in any way are not allowed to move on to another school. If something were to happen in one school and it was not reported to PELSB, then that person could go on to the next school and the next school and the next school until finally somebody does something about it. This amendment does something about that. And then lastly, the part about creating an end date of August 15th, yes, that gets us through this summer school. We're going to need as many people, all hands on deck this summer doing summer school. Who knows? I might go back myself and help out as best that I can. But I want to make sure that those folks around me have good folks around them to help them with this skill building for our students. The end date of August 15th is just right there for school. Those that have come in and have shown that they have the skill, they have the aptitude, they have the heart for teaching and working with our school students, then they can reapply and it'll be just as quick and easy so that they are ready and primed for the school year. And so with all of those in mind, not with any kind of malice towards the original bill, I ask once again that you support this amendment and cast a green vote. Thank you.
Members were on the A3 amendment. Is there any final discussion on the A3 amendment? See none, the secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in the president's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote, and members in room 206, rooms 237 and 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Call on Senator Frentz to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Bigham votes aye.
Bigham votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes aye.
Champion votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes aye.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes aye.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes aye.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes aye.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes aye.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes aye.
Isaacson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Marty votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes aye.
Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes aye.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes no.
Anderson votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes no.
Coleman votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmic votes no.
Osmic votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes no.
Newman votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes no.
Ingebrigtsen votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Nelson votes no.
Nelson votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes no.
Senjum votes no. Senator Jasinski.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Weber votes no.
Weber votes no. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 30 ayes and 35 nays, the motion does not prevail. The amendment is not adopted. Further discussion on Senate File 819. The Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File number 819, a bill for an act relating to education.
Third reading. Final comments on the bill, Senator Dames, followed by Senator Duckworth. Senator Dames.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Duckworth or Senator Dornick for bringing this bill forward. Certainly do appreciate it. We've had a lot of discussion back and forth, pros and cons, and kind of surprising standing in the back and some of the comments that are made, but I'll pass on discussion of that today. But what I do want to talk about is the importance of this pilot program for rural Minnesota and our education system. In rural Minnesota, we don't have people standing up on the line every morning to come and substitute teacher at the schools. So we do need that help and that assistance, and this is one way to get it. And this in no way says that the people that are going to come and substitute are just warm bodies or just something left over that we brought in to teach for the day. Long cry from that. These people that are going to be coming in are going to be able to do the job and do it well. And I put a lot of faith and a lot of trust in the school boards, in the administrations, the educators, the teachers, and all the support staff in schools in my district. And I think this is something that they could choose to use. Maybe they'll choose not to, but it's another opportunity. Remember, folks, we're struggling in education. We're looking to do things all the time. We're looking at reforms. We're looking at trying to make education better, not just in rural Minnesota, but all over the state of Minnesota. And so here's an opportunity. It's a pilot program. Let's see how it works. Let's see if there's some problems with it. Maybe there are some problems that can be cleaned up. Maybe not. But let's give it a chance, folks. And let's just not shut the door because it doesn't fit normalcy. It doesn't fit the mold. It doesn't fit the organizational chart for certain operations. This needs to be done. It's a good bill, and so I would ask that you vote green and support it.
Next, we have Senator Duckworth, followed by Senator Westrom. Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. I just want to give some additional context and justification for this bill, and some of it comes through the lens as a former school board member myself. During the Education Committee's hearing as it relates to this bill, we had a superintendent speak very passionately about the dire need at his district for the ability to do this, to bring on short-term substitutes for a period of 15 days or so. I urge you to go back and watch the hearing if you hadn't had a chance to see it, and you'll tell just based on his tone how critical it is to the success of his district and to the education and the quality of the education the students that need that education would be getting. Also, I had the ability to visit some schools within my Senate district, and in speaking with the principal, the staff, the teachers there, they said we have found so much tremendous value in the short-term hires that we've had to bring on so that we can continue to serve our students in the classroom. This bill does just that. It helps provide temporary, short-term relief in our schools so that our kids, our staff, our principals can continue to provide them with the quality education they so very much deserve. I do want to thank fellow members of the Chamber for their remarks regarding student safety. I don't think anybody would disagree with you when it comes to the safety of our students. It's a top priority. But beyond physical safety, there are other measures of student safety we have to take into consideration, especially right now. Those are the elements of safety that have to do with the mental health of our students, their social and emotional well-being. And I think we all know and understand that those forms of safety are best provided for our students when they're in the classroom, when they have short-term substitutes that can be there to ensure that our kids have the ability to be in the classroom, to learn, so that, number one, their physical safety, obviously, is a priority, but also so is their well-being socially and emotionally, and so is prioritizing their mental health. So I really urge folks to take a holistic view of student safety and how this bill helps to secure that. Last but not least, when it comes to background checks, so I used to be a coach in Lakeville schools. I used to coach the mock trial team, very proud of that. Had to go through a background check myself to do that. And here's what else I could tell you. If somebody were to do something criminally wrong, especially to do the unthinkable, which is to harm a young person, one of our students or children, well, I would hope that would get reported to the authorities. And if it was reported to the authorities and that person was ultimately found guilty or convicted of that crime, well, then that would show up on a background check. And that's why background checks are required in Senator Dornick's bill. So I appreciate those remarks regarding safety, and I think this bill gets to those, especially significant incidences that would occur in our schools. Last but not least, I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. My daughter Grace is in her second year pre-K. She'll be doing kindergarten next year. And members, I would never vote for a bill that I thought would put her safety or the safety of any of our kids or students at risk. This is a great bill. I strongly urge your support of it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Next, we have Senator Westrom, followed by Senator Chamberlain. Senator Westrom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Dornick, thanks for bringing this bill forward. Senator Duckworth, thank you for your comments. Talking about the dire need to help our school districts find substitute teachers to keep their schools running, to keep our students in school, to help keep them learning. Folks, this is a challenge. You've heard about it. Even some Democrats on the floor talked about the dire need for it, even though they don't like the bill. Members, let our local schools teach. And this bill gives them another tool in the toolbox to bring those substitute teachers in, to keep our kids in school, to make those schools function better and deal with all the issues they're dealing with. Just a few weeks ago, I was visiting with our local school principal about this year especially. And if there's a time to do this, to allow the flexibility of qualified substitute teachers, which Senator Dornick's bill will do. Do it now. She talked to me about the challenges of even sometimes teachers having to be out in quarantine, teaching online, still needing somebody in the classroom, and that's a substitute teacher, members. The Democrats talking against this bill want to stop that flexibility for our school districts. Rural Minnesota schools want this flexibility. We have local administrators, superintendents, principals, elected school boards to make these decisions. But let's let them make those decisions. Last week, 2 weeks ago actually, I was holding an online Zoom town meeting with our superintendents. Nearly a dozen of them joined Representative Backer and my town meeting and Representative Paul Anderson. And this topic came up, members. The struggle to find substitute teachers by the superintendents was one of their top issues. And let me add a little more complexity to it for Senator Kunish or Senator Putnam arguing against this bill. Let me give you a rural perspective of our districts. Not every school district is as big as the metro schools. And sometimes they only offer a couple hours of class in their schools because that's the size of the school. And so sometimes that substitute teacher isn't a full day job, it's a 2 or 3 hour coverage for the classes that that school offers. And that even is a harder substitute to find sometimes because somebody fully licensed is usually not able to come in for 2 or 3 hours a day. But there's community experts all over our communities. And think about this, members. The Democrats arguing against this flexibility for our local schools. Under their arguments, most of us elected senators could not qualify to be a substitute teacher for up to 15 days in our local schools. That's the standard they want to set. Not even our governor, in many cases, now current governor maybe could because he's got a teacher's licensure. But back a few governors, if you remember Governor Arne Carlson talking about it, he couldn't even get into our schools and teach government. Most legislators wouldn't be qualified to teach. Yet I hope you see the hypocrisy or the lunacy of that policy. We have many community experts, oftentimes accountants in a community might be retiring, less busy in the fall. They might be interested in a little job change or helping out locally. Local pastors, I know some in our area that have done that. They went back to substitute teaching to give back, to find a little change, to help students out. As their kids grow and graduate, they have more time in their 40s and 50s and 60s. And these local experts have a lot of life experience as well as running businesses, as well as employed for many years in certain sectors. And they can bring that expertise to the school if they have the time and desire and the ability. Our local districts need this flexibility, members. It is a crisis. COVID has exacerbated the issue, but it's common sense for our rural schools. Give them this tool in the toolbox to help teach our kids because education is essential. I urge your support of Senator Dornick's bill.
Next on the list, I have Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members, and the discussion as well. A couple things this bill, just a reminder again, as you go in to vote on this bill, green or red. First, I'll thank Senator Dornick for taking this on, this challenge, the first bill he brought to the floor. Thank you, Senator Dornick. Kids, supporting kids, families, and educators. Pro-kids, pro-families, pro-educators. This bill is not designed to solve all the problems in the school system, in the current system that we have. Kids, families, parents, educators, period. What the bill does is it allows the districts to hire those substitute teachers as they see fit. What the bill does is it requires the background check per existing statute. What the bill does not do is create an unsafe classroom. The bill does not undo the current statutes and the requirements that are with us today for licensing. And I can't let this go, Senators. These are not warm bodies. As two of our senators mentioned, these are not warm bodies. These are people in the process that want to be educators, professional, licensed educators. They're already professionals. They want to be licensed educators in our classrooms. Flexibility for the local school districts, and it requires the background checks as per current law. It does not remove any of those or change any of the current law regarding final licensure. So members, kids, families, educators, supporting their needs in this difficult period, that is the priority now. It's not intended to solve all the problems. Kids, families, and educators. Thank you, members. Green vote.
Final discussion on the bill. Senator Johnson Stewart, followed by Senator Uyghur. Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I just want to say kids, parents, students, educators, parents, students, whatever the three key words are over and over, I think we know what we're talking about here. We all support kids, parents, and educators. I do have to rise as a former director of a university-level program. I was director of the construction management program at the University of Minnesota for 15 years. There is nothing more dangerous to my students, and I still teach there, than an expert who comes in and professes to know how to teach. This is not based on just mere anecdotal talking by me, but it's based on the reality that to become accredited and to teach a quality program, which I hope we do in our public schools, we have to have teachers. So I just rise to tell you that really teaching is not your professional experience. Teaching is teaching. And as Senator Putnam said, from the voice of an educator, from the experience of an educator, it is understanding objectives, outcomes, performance measures, pedagogy. How about that word? So I'm going to add it to my list. Pedagogy, educators, parents, students, quality, performance measures, outcomes, all those things are things we value as educators. And whether you're for this bill or not, let's stop with the myth that personal experience translates into quality teaching. It simply does not. Thank you.
Senator Uyghur, followed by Senator Pratt. Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. Briefly, I just want to reiterate in my opening comments, I acknowledged we are in an emergency and we tried to improve the bill, offering suggestions for a pilot which did reduce the qualifications, and we understand the emergency, but we could go for it, but for a shorter term. So I want to make sure that's clear. But I do have a question, and I'd like to ask if either Senator Dornick or Senator Chamberlain would yield.
They will both yield, so okay. Senator Uyghur, which one do you want to ask the question to?
Okay, Senator Chamberlain.
Senator Chamberlain will yield. Senator Uyghur.
Senator Chamberlain, the thrust of our argument was, okay, flexibility, but let's make sure the safeguards are in place. Perhaps we have an honest disagreement on what those safeguards would be, but we had an amendment that addressed ethic complaints that would be reported to the state. Senator Chamberlain, why shouldn't ethical complaints that have been discovered by the school district for a sub be reported to the state, Pelsby?
Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Uyghur, members, it's already part of their system. What you're implying is that these educators and the professionals running these schools wouldn't do that. They're doing it already. They have a process. They're not going to keep people in the classroom that are violating ethics or standards or law. The current system is still there. They will still do it. And, you know, look, licenses are not guarantees to perfection, right? Just because you're an expert doesn't mean you're perfect. Just because you get a license doesn't mean you're perfect. There are problems now and then. We have a lot of great teachers in this state, a lot of great people in Tier 1 area that want to come in and help. So nothing would change in the current process of terminating or reporting these violations. So nothing changes, Senator Uyghur, members.
Senator Uyghur.
Mr. President, respectfully, it would change. It is not required reporting. And if your argument is that it's already it's going to be done, then why wouldn't you have at least supported the amendment that assured that there would be such reporting? This is brought to our attention by Pelsby, that the reporting for ethical violations would not be done. I'm sure it's a very small amount, and they do their best, but sometimes there's people that get into the system. And that's why we made the argument for that type of reporting. It's not required. It was to try to provide that assurance. Thank you.
Next, we have Senator Pratt, followed by final comments from the bill's author, Senator Dornick. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, just a couple of things. You know, let's talk about the amendment and what Senator Uyghur just said. Yeah, there was a reporting provision, and had that been the amendment, I might have voted for it. But here's the thing. The amendment that we voted on was much more than just the reporting piece. It changed the process for getting it done and lengthened the process, and it set the pilot from 2.5 school years down to what will effectively be 3 months. So when Senator Uyghur says, why didn't you stand up and support the reporting? Because you didn't give us a reporting amendment. Now, Senator Uyghur, you and I both served on school boards for many, many years, and we know that administrators want to have, administrators have the safety of their students at the top of mind every single day, every single hour. In fact, they have their students' safety at top of mind when the students aren't even in school. We care about safety of students. This bill is a pilot, and it takes care of the safety of students. But what it does is it also gives school districts the flexibility. If they don't like the program, they don't have to use it. Wow, what a concept. If they don't like the program, they don't have to use it. And we're not hiring teachers. We're hiring short-term substitutes because we know that we might have a problem getting enough people in the classroom so that we can keep in-person learning going, even through the summer. Why would we want to take that tool away when our students have already lost 2 academic years effectively in learning, and the gaps are going to be massive? I want to thank Senator Dornick for bringing this. It's a common sense bill. And the arguments against it today, I believe, are more, well, I can't talk about the, I almost got myself in trouble. Mr. President, I think the concerns over this bill are overblown. They're misdirected. And members, I strongly urge a green vote on the bill.
Final discussion on Senate File 819, Senator Dornick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members, for another good discussion. I'm just going to give a little more background on where this bill came from. I mentioned the school administrator in Austin. It was actually Mark Raymond. He was on the, when I brought the bill to the committee, he spoke as a testifier there. And so he had given this to Representative Mueller, and she's a 20-year educator, and so she brought it over to me and said, would you like to author this bill? And I said yes. So then I did a little research and study because this isn't in my a direct line of my expertise. So what I did is I emailed all the superintendents in our district to get and see what they wanted, because that's what we do here as legislators. We find out what the people want, and so that's what I did. And I got to talk to not all of them, but most of them, and they all supported this bill. They were so excited about it, said, yes, this is a good bill. So that's why when I don't just stand up here just what I think, I always want to do what my constituents want. And I want to listen to them, and I want to hear them, and then when I hear what they want, then I want to do that. So that's why I'm here supporting this bill. So with just my closing comments, I wanted to speak to Senator Putnam's comment on whether you're teaching second graders, sixth graders, or junior high, or whatever the college. You know what? Those superintendents, those school board members, those teachers, they know. They're professionals. I trust them to say, hey, you know, as they're interviewing, they're going to ask some of those questions, and they're going to put them in the spot that they belong. They're not just going to randomly stick them somewhere and say, hey, there's a bunch of kids over here, just go in and teach them. It's not what they're going to do. These are professionals. These are the people that are the best, the superintendents. So I trust them. I believe in them. And so I'm definitely excited about this bill, and I look for your support. I just want to finish up with File 819 creates a much-needed pilot program to increase the number of eligible short-call substitute teachers in our state. Our children are bearing the consequences of our current shortage. This bill returns power to our local schools, allowing them to hire the right qualified people for the job. We need to trust them, their judgment, their answers, demands for action. In closing, this bill is to help our children back in school by supporting our school districts and teachers with the ability to hire qualified individuals. A green vote is a vote to support our kids, our families, and our educators throughout the state. I encourage you to vote yes. Thank you, Mr. President and members.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 819. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 237 and 206. I will call on Senator Jasinski to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmick votes aye.
Osmick votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Weber votes aye.
Weber votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Senator Bigham votes no.
Bigham votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Carlson votes no.
Carlson votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes no.
Champion votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes no.
Clausen votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes no.
Dibble votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes no.
Eaton votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes no.
Eakin votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes no.
Fateh votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes no.
Isaacson votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes no.
Latz votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes no.
Marty votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes no.
Newton votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes no.
Torres Ray votes no. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes no.
Wickland votes no. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 36 ayes and 29 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill up for consideration is number 37 on general orders, Senate File 628, Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Quick, short bill. This is a relief bill. It's for, I'll repeat it again for Senator Kunish, not Kunish, but Johnson Stewart, it's for kids and families and families and educators. We need to know where the kids are standing. It's to take a position on the MCAs, Minnesota Comprehensive Assessments, to ensure that the Department of Education continues their work to make sure those assessments are given to all kids that are supposed to receive those assessments this year. The federal government has not indicated they will provide any waivers. The federal government, President Biden and others, have indicated that they want the assessments done. We simply need to know where the kids are at in this after the COVID shutdowns of the schools. So this is a simple bill establishing this legislative priority and intent that the assessments be given so we have a good measurement of where the kids are and what we need to do to catch them up. So that's what this is about ultimately. Kids and parents and educators finding out where the kids are, and then we can work towards solving that problem and catching them up. So members, green vote, please. Thank you.
Discussion on Senate File 628, Senator Uyghur.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Chamberlain, and we join with you in supporting students, parents, etc. Of course we do. And it's not a spoiler alert. The tests are already in play for the MCAs, the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment. The window opened on March 8, a few weeks ago. And correct, the federal government on February 22 notified all states that the state testing would continue. It had a number of qualifiers, but that's being done. That said, as students are returning to school, and some have already had to go back to distant learning, but a big focus is on meeting the social, emotional, mental health needs. Senator Duckworth made comment about that priority, in fact, over testing. And so doing that, getting the funds that were just approved this morning for summer school, catch-up, et cetera, are extremely important. On the MCAs, it's going to provide, some help for certain people, but this is what's happening. You're going to have a record number of opt-outs. And you can opt out if you object to testing at this level, or you can also, because of the pandemic. There's two waivers. I asked for some feedback from, well, I've talked to a lot of people about this in my district and beyond, but I asked Deb Henton, the executive director of the Association of School Administrators. What are you hearing in the schools in terms of the MCAs? Quote, and this is last night in an email. I've been hearing a lot of concerns about MCA testing. Concerns range from the fact that many students are just back in school and now will be faced with testing instead of much needed instruction time, to working with the parents who have been often helping their children during this time, and they're going to personalize the results of their tests. A number of districts are encouraging the opt-out provision. I have similar feedback from others. And you know what? Local control, it's up to the districts what they're going to do. But I wanted to put the MCAs as we recover from the pandemic in context. I also want to say that providing summative tests, formulative assessments to parents, that is what is going to get them on track in terms of how the student is doing. And there's a number of instruments, and it's actually happening right now when you talk. But the first sentence of the bill, we support because it's moot, it's required, okay? It's the second sentence that presents a problem. Remote testing, and asking the department, requiring the department to develop a plan for remote testing, distant hybrid. It's complicated. In fact, it's unworkable. And I'm not aware of any district in Minnesota that is seeking this. I'm not aware of any district in America that is doing this successful. And the evidence is that it provides a significant security risk. And so, we do have one of our senators actually that's done a great deal of work in testing and monitoring. And I'd like to hear from Senator Kunesh. Thank you.
Further discussion on Senate File 628, Senator Kunesh.
Mr. President, I'd like to offer the A5 amendment.
Senator Kunesh offers the A5 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Kunesh moves to amend Senate File number 628 as follows, page 1, delete lines 9 and 10 and 11, excuse me. This is the A5 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Kunesh.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. If it's one thing that I know is the MCAs. I have been a school MCA administrator for 12 years in the elementary school that I taught in. It's also a dreaded time for our students and for our staff and for our administration. The stress, the anxiety, and the disruption that it partakes in our school year, in a regular school year, is really, really tough. Our students are just going back to school, and now they have to take the MCAs. And while it's important that we begin to collect the data so we know where to begin the reteaching and addressing the needs of all of our students and the education that they deserve, the part that gives me heartburn in this bill is the remote testing. The MCAs, or the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment, are given to students grades 3 through 8 in reading and math and science. And for those of you who are not familiar with this, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of preparation, because there is so much security wrapped around this test. The federal education law requires states to give those standardized tests in subjects for reading and math in grades 3 through 8, and then again in high school. So we started these MCAs here in Minnesota back in March 8th. We started with the math, reading, and MCAs, and then April 16th, we have to do the access and access for ELL. And then by May 21st, reading, math, science, MCAs, and MTAs pass. That's 5 weeks. And what this bill requires is the Department of Education to put together a remote testing process, which I feel is probably absolutely impossible. Pearson is the test provider. Pearson is located in England. I'm not sure how many states or how many folks have asked Pearson to put together a remote test, but I don't think that it's possible in the next 5 weeks to do this and do it with fidelity. The Minnesota Department of Education is required by state statutes to implement this statewide testing, and they need to do it absolutely securely. When we prepare for these tests, our staff and I as an administrator have to go through hours and hours of training. We have to sign off on an affidavit that said we will absolutely keep this information secure. It has to, test security must be maintained to provide equal opportunity for all students, to demonstrate their academic achievement, and to ensure the validity of test scores and the integrity of state assessment. Imagine if we allowed these tests to be taken remotely, and they are being administered by parents or by grandparents, by siblings. Maybe there's a student that's old enough to be home by themselves. How are we going to ensure that this test was taken securely? In a classroom or in a school building during the MCA test, you will find nothing on the walls. All the posters, any kind of formula or grid or Venn diagram, anything that has in the past helped students learn their lessons has to be removed. You can't have a multiplication table grid up on the board. You can't have anything on the board that would give a student an unfair advantage. How can we ensure that that is not going to happen at home? When you take these tests, let's say the math test, calculators are allowed, but it's the built-in calculator, not the one that you hold in your hand unless you're in high school. How can we ensure that a student isn't going to pull out their phone or use a calculator at home? Imagine if you are the parent who processed this remote testing with their student only and held it to the highest integrity. You didn't allow them to use that calculator. You didn't even read a word, because as a teacher, when students are being tested, you're not even supposed to look at the screen. You can't read a word to those students. You can't tell those students what that word means. You can't tell them anything other than do your best. Remember what you learned from your teachers. I'm sorry I can't help you with that. How many parents are going to do that? How many grandparents are going to do that? It's going to break their heart to do it. It's the hardest thing in the world. And imagine that you are a parent that held that fidelity up, that you did just as you promised. But then you've got another student that didn't do that used the dictionary, that used Google, that did all these other things. And now your student does not have the high scores that they need to get into advanced placement or into honors classes because they did what they were supposed to. This remote testing will create a very disadvantaged, unlevel testing situation, and it really causes a lot more stress and anxiety to the families and to the students and to our schools as well. Let's see, I want to make sure I've gotten everything here. The other thing I just want to bring up is that when you are taking these tests, all of the results go to a secured server. So Pearson, who runs these reports, runs these tests, they have a secure server, we hope. Because about 10 years ago, a middle school student was able to hack into that server and bring down the entire testing system in Minnesota. I don't know how many of you remember that. But I remember it very vividly because it was a middle school from one of the schools that I teach at. That's how savvy these students are. How are we going to be able to control a student from afar that they are taking this test under the guidance that the state allows, as well as the federal government. In addition, how are we going to make sure that every student has the device that they need to take this test? You can use a Chromebook to take this test, but you can't use a tablet. Your computer cannot have a touch screen. So now how are we, in the next 5 weeks, going to get those devices to the students as they need them? So once again, this bill, I am not, I'm not against taking the MCAs. Well, I kind of am against taking the MCAs. I feel like kids have been under enough stress in the last year or two, only to have to come back to school and then spend the next 5 weeks in testing. But since we do have to have these tests, I want to make sure that every kid has a fair advantage in scoring the best score that they can at this time during this pandemic. And so given the obvious logistical impossibilities, given the immeasurable opportunity for shenanigans, cheating, and security threats, I'm going to ask members today to vote for this A5 amendment to remove the requirement for MDE to plan and administer the MCAs remotely in the next 5 weeks. Please vote green.
Discussion on the A5 amendment. Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you. I have a one-word answer. Yes. Take the amendment, vote green. But one last thing is the opt-outs. Yes, parents can already opt out. That's law. We can't solve all the problems of K-12 in this room at this point with one bill. So to go down this trail and this path of all this stuff, that's all wonderful, members. But we're not here to solve all the problems of the planet. Parents can already opt out. But here's the thing, Senator Uyghur and members and Mr. President. We shouldn't be encouraging parents not to do this. Because let me tell you again, sometimes the school organizations support us, sometimes they don't, but I'm always going to be on the side of the parents and the families. And Senator Uyghur and Mr. President, that's who's asked for this for the most part. Parents and families have asked for the MCAs to be done. And thank God the federal government is requiring it and it's going to be done and it's going. Are they perfect? Do we love them? Heck no. But thank God they're being done. Thank God the president and the administration saying they have to be done because we need to know. And the parents have asked for this. So I'll always be there and responding to that piece. There's going to be a parent. So they can already opt out. I'll accept the amendment. Go green, go aye. Thank you.
Senator Chamberlain, that was a lot more than one word. Discussion on the A5, Senator Uyghur.
Yes, Mr. President, I just want to make sure I heard correctly. Senator Chamberlain, you said this is a friendly amendment? Vote green? That's wonderful. Thank you.
All right, members, we're on the A5 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. We're back on Senate File 628 as amended. Any final comments? The Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File number 628, a bill for an act relating to education.
Third reading. Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 628. Any final discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll on Senate File 628. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote, and members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 237 and 206. I will call on Senator Jasinski to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmick votes aye.
Osmick votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Weber votes aye.
Weber votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Bigham votes yes.
Bigham votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes yes.
Champion votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes yes.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes yes.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes yes.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes yes.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes no.
Fateh votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes yes.
Isaacson votes yes. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes yes.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes no.
Marty votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes yes.
Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes no.
Torres Ray votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Wicklund votes yes.
Wicklund votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Carlson votes no.
Carlson votes no.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I reported a yes vote for Senator Weber.
Weber votes aye. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, could I ask Senator Friends to repeat the vote for Senator Carlson? I thought I heard one thing and I saw another report on the board.
Senator Frentz, the vote for Senator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report a no for Senator Carlson.
Carlson votes no. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 57 ayes and 8 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill up for consideration is number 55 on general orders, Senate File 438, Senator Chamberlain.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. So the last one on the agenda today is, I believe, is 438. Senate File 438 continues our effort for relief for the schools and for the kids, parents, and educators. It is about the review standards review and implementation. So the review from the MDE side, implementation from the MDE side, implementation on the local district side. This will put a temporary stop, 2 years, to review and implementation of all standards. Currently, members, there are 6 standards, 6 subject areas where the standards are under review, some point in review or implementation being implemented at the district level, school level. So we're just simply asking that MDE put a halt on reviewing and implementing any further standards. Only temporary, 2 years. Again, this is designed to allow educators and schools and parents and kids to catch up and recover from the COVID shutdowns. Again, we go back to kids and parents and educators. School districts have asked for this and support it. It can cost, Anoka-Hennepin, for example, they came up with the idea initially. It can cost them $1 million, $2 million or more to get these things going, and you can imagine the time involved. So we're asking a temporary halt to review and implementation of all standards currently under in various points of implementation and review. So that's the bill, members. Again, helps the kids and the parents and the educators get through this COVID shutdown, and then we'll move forward. Thank you. Green vote, please. Green vote.
Discussion on Senate File 438. Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Chamberlain. We too want to help students, parents, and staff, especially as we navigate and recover from the pandemic. Meeting social, emotional, mental health needs, catch-up courses that would be needed in summer school, etc., are all a part of that solution. I agree with part of the bill to the extent you want to lessen the burden in the schools for the rollout of various standards. However, the Department of Education has said they are fully able to continue with various parts of the revisions and review, the testing, and they're ready to continue with that work. In the last bill that we heard, Senator Chamberlain, I really appreciated, and I thought it was a very bipartisan to have you agree to Senator Kunish's amendment to delete the remote testing. And the reason, because we argued it was not workable for the Department of Education. It just wasn't going to work. And this time the Department of Ed is saying, we want to be able to continue our work. We will slow down in a couple of areas, and it was explained in an offer to you. So there would be the halt in the actual schools for the building staff for the rollout of provisions, but the department in many areas could continue its work on various standards, which, as you pointed out, are required every 10 years. Knowledge changes so much every 10 years, and waiting 2 additional years is really not in the best interests of students when the department has said they can do it. And moreover, there are volunteers throughout the state that work on these revision committees. It takes 5 years approximately to go through the process of reviewing, revising, rulemaking, preparing the testing, the professional development. It's a very comprehensive campaign to put this together. And it includes people, volunteers from throughout the state. And I'm not hearing anyone saying to stop that process. So I want you to think about that. I think there's a workable solution where the department could continue its efforts on various standards, benchmarks that are in progress, and also put relief at the schools for temporarily holding on the rollout of additional standards and benchmarks. So it's a win-win situation. It'll work. And I believe Senator Swedzinski wanted to elaborate further on some ideas. Thank you, Mr. President.
Discussion on Senate File 438. Senator Swedzinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank, I appreciate Senator Chamberlain's desire or acknowledgement and desire to take things off our teachers' plates and our administrators' plates. The schools this last 12 months with respect to remote learning and hybrid learning and in-person learning, it's every teacher, parent, student, they all know this has been quite a challenging year, so I appreciate, again, Senator Chamberlain's acknowledgement of that. But with that said, Mr. President, I offer the A5 amendment.
Senator Swedzinski offers the A5 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Swedzinski moves to amend Senate File number 438 as follows, page 1, line 6, delete. This is the A5 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Swedzinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. The A5 amendment helps us provide relief to districts by giving them some breathing room, by taking something off their plate in addition to what the original bill attempts to do with respect to the new standards, while also keeping us on track with the work that they've already set out to do. These changes will give districts and teachers, again, some breathing room in their recovery from this pandemic, while also allowing the Minnesota Department of Education to continue the fine work it is already doing with regards to the social studies standards. 38 individuals have stepped up and volunteered to be part of that process. In fact, they're meeting for, I believe, step 2 in the process this week. There's no reason to delay the review and revision of our social studies standards. The process is ongoing, and the Department of Education has given no indication, as Senator Uyghur said, that they need more time. So I called 2 of my social studies department chairs that happened to be in my district last night. I just told them about the bill, and I asked them what they think. And I wrote down 4 items that these in the classroom social studies teachers relayed to me. The first one, we're looking forward to the process, examining our curriculum to give the students the best experience possible. Number 2, we do not feel rushed with respect to the curriculum that will be looked at. Number 3, we've been waiting 10 years for this moment. The social studies teachers in this state have been waiting 10 years for this moment to examine the standards again. And number 4, if we have to wait another 2 years, we will find it deflating. We will find it deflating. Well, colleagues, again, delaying the Minnesota Department of Education's work would only serve to create a backlog. We can allow them to do their work while still helping districts and teachers by giving them time to comply. Members, I ask you to support the A5 amendment. The social studies teachers out there are ready, they're willing, and they're anxious to get going to help their kids figure out why they were born and give them a little sense of purpose and hopefully leave the world a little bit better than they found it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Discussion on the A5 amendment. Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, members. I encourage a red vote. Thank you, Senator Swedzinski, for addressing this. I don't disagree with you in many respects about the position and what we're trying to do here. But all resources, there is a reason, members, Mr. President, to suspend review. There is a very solid reason. 1 year of shutdowns and challenges with our schools and the districts and the kids. That's the reason. That is the reason. And MDE should be focusing 100% of their attention and efforts on doing just that and supporting districts and schools in every way they can. That's all this is about. So there is a very strong, valid reason. And the reason is to support those districts and schools with every resource we have. And right now, when you're doing all the reviews and doing all the implementation process, it takes time away from that. It takes bodies and resources away from those other supportive efforts. And by the way, school districts can still move forward if they have things in process to complete that. Nothing in here in this proposal says school districts can't continue doing something. It just says MDE can't do something. Now, I'm having a hard time getting MDE to agree with anything we do. I'll get a call from them and from soon, I'm sure. But there is a solid reason, members, for the bill as is, and to say no to this amendment. The amendment simply kind of undoes the whole purpose of this, because the districts can continue doing things, but MDE can continue. The amendment just says MDE can continue doing what they're doing and continue working and doing that stuff with the schools. So essentially, the amendment undoes the purpose and intent of the proposal. I understand what they're trying to get at, but members, right now, there's a solid reason to vote no for this, because it undoes this proposal, and we want all the resources focused on supporting kids, parents, and the schools individually and collectively across the state. And that's where the resources should be. Red vote on the amendment. Thank you.
Further discussion on the A5 amendment, Senator Franzen, followed by Senator Kunish. Senator Franzen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Sosinski, for bringing this amendment forward. The reason we just heard right now for the delay, for the reason for this bill, just makes absolutely no sense. We're already been hearing today that students are 2 years delayed, 2 school years delayed, which in essence, in my opinion, it's not true. The entire world has been affected by COVID. Every child in this world that's been in school has been impacted. That doesn't mean that our kids are delayed. It just means that we have to do better to catch them up for the time they spent out of the classroom, but they've been getting instruction. So under the premise that our kids are delayed, should not even be said out loud here, members. I think that just puts us in a deficit situation. We have a lot of great things that are happening in our state, a lot of innovation that has happened in the classroom. That doesn't mean our kids are delayed, and I refuse to accept that the majority categorizes our kids delayed in the school system. What we need to do is listen to those people in the school system. And Mr. President, I'd like to ask Senator Chamberlain to yield. And by the way, can I request a roll call on the amendment?
A roll call has been requested. Roll call granted. Senator Chamberlain will yield for a question. He will yield. Senator Franzen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Chamberlain. Can you enlighten us, Senator Chamberlain? What specifically? Give me a list. Give me an item-by-item list of things that the school district would be benefiting from this bill that you propose, and why would the amendment that Senator Sosinski to continue some of the work that they're doing not be reasonable to continue? Because Mr. President and Senator Chamberlain, if your argument is that we're going to be further delayed, what you're doing is further delaying the instruction that they're going to be receiving. The instruction, the up-to-date information that we need to know in the sciences, in history, mathematics. I mean, I have a list, but for the general public, can you please elaborate what specifically will your bill, Senator Chamberlain, provide relief for school districts? Can you please give us an example, or at least list the items that the school districts have asked you to delay?
Senator Chamberlain.
Mr. President, Senator Franzen, members, I mentioned 6 areas specifically. There are 6 areas that they're currently in some process of review or implementation. And some are near implementation, and the districts are allowed to continue doing that if they so desire. This is about MDE, saying, MDE, stop what you're doing for 2 years, help out the schools, and help out the kids get ahead. So 6 areas, and it includes all So secondly, if Senator Franson is going to say there's no reason that she refuses to accept the idea that kids are behind, well, I guess talk to CDC, talk to the UN studies, UNICEF, look at that stuff. And the educators in the districts, for the most part, have said, we could use a delay on putting all this stuff in because it's expensive and time consuming. So all areas, Senator Franson, and if you got a list, I guess you're going to read it to us, but to stand up here and say the kids aren't behind, I just want to make that clear. Senator Franson stood there in this chamber, Mr. President, members, and said that the kids have not fallen behind. When I've read reports from CDC and from UNICEF and various other academics from around the world, that kids have lost at least an academic year due to this, when we know that many weren't signing in. We got studies, we have personal stories. So, members, this is a simple bill. It's a simple concept. It shouldn't be complicated. This is about delaying for just 2 years at different stages all these standards to let the department focus on supporting the kids in the districts. That's it. This is simple. And the amendment simply undoes that requirement for the department. So vote red on this amendment. It does make sense, and it doesn't make sense to say that the kids aren't falling behind. And that's exactly the point, Senator Franson. You've made the point that they're not falling behind, so you can therefore then say we do not need this bill. Well, all the science and the research and anecdotal stories say the kids are falling behind, and people said, we need this bill, and it's just a temporary hold. It's simple. And Senator Swedinski's amendment undoes that. So that's all. Vote no, and that's the answer to the question.
Further discussion on the A5 amendment. Senator Franson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Chamberlain, I just refuse to be pessimistic. I refuse to be pessimistic about going through a worldwide pandemic, having our kids and our teachers and our businesses and the entire economy adapt. If the majority wants to be pessimistic in the room, great. We can halt a lot of more things, not just in schools. But I don't think that's the way the world works, Mr. President, Senator Chamberlain. My businesses certainly didn't delay the decisions to move forward, decisions about our next lease, decisions about our next investments in our technology. Neither has the government, neither has school districts. They continue to plan ahead. What they need now is resources. And you talk about, Senator Chamberlain, Mr. President, about being expensive and time-consuming. Well, give them the resources. Give them the time. And we've had this discussion about school boards making decisions about 4 to 5 days of teaching. Well, they've made those decisions because they do need some time to plan for the remote and virtual learning. They've adapted. Let's stop criticizing the work and the labor that these folks are doing on a daily basis. Give them the resources. This bill does nothing to give them those resources. And it's not just about money. It's about the tone and voice we have in this chamber, how we talk about those workers that are in the classroom or online virtual learning. I have a kindergartner. I refuse to accept that he's being delayed. I refuse to accept that. Eventually he'll take a test. I'm sure like a lot of us, we've talked about this decisions to opt out of testing. What we need is resources. We need to change the conversation in this chamber. That's what's so wrong about this bill. It just punts it. It's just like we do with everything else. Transportation, for instance. Oh, someone else will cover that. Someone else will pay for that. At the end of the day, we won't have a road. Well, at the end of the day, we won't have a school system, which is paramount in our Constitution to support, not to delay. Members, we also have a constitutional conundrum right now and a lawsuit. But we're not going to talk about those issues. We're going to talk about delaying implementation, about standards. That's where we're going to spend the time in COVID relief. This is what's going to do it, members. This is what's going to fix the school system. Well, public, I hope you're listening because I'll just tell you that's not going to solve our issues in our school systems. If anything, it's going to make them worse. We need progress. We don't need delay. We need progress. And members, please support this Wasinski amendment. It's reasonable. There's certain things that are already underway. Why stop them? If school districts really wanted this, I'm sure all of us would have heard from them that this was paramount, but it's not. Because it's being used as something to cover up what really needs to happen in our schools. It's providing resources, providing thank yous, providing some progress, providing some leadership, instead of demonizing at every corner what our schools are doing, and not just in Minnesota, but around our country. If we want to be a leader, then actually do the work, members. Listen to your school districts, listen to your teachers, listen to our counselors. What do they really need? This bill falls short, and Senator Wasinski's amendment amends it and makes it better. So I encourage a green vote.
Members, discussion on the A5 amendment. Next, we have Senator Kunish, followed by Senator Abler. Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is really an interesting conversation. As a teacher all these years and having to go through different revisions of curriculum over time, I can tell you that most educators actually look forward to the new curriculums, to the revisions, to the examination of the standards that they've been teaching to, and the ability to voice their thoughts, their ideas, and their understanding of what's going on, not only in our state, but around the nation and around the world. Our world is changing so quickly. You think about what happened in the last 4 years. You think about what happened in the last 4 months. And those are the things we have to take into consideration when we are addressing the full child and the full spectrum of information that our students have to have in order to become citizens of the future, to be informed. You think about how the environment is changing, how civics is changing, how life events for each and every one of us has changed. We think about how elections have changed. We think about how economics have changed. If we wait 2 years, what's the point? Why are we waiting to do the same thing over and over and over again? And I find it admirable that the author of this bill would be concerned about the workload of those at MDE. For the last 4 years, I've sat on the Education Committee over in the House, and I've seen those people in MDE, the Minnesota Department of Education, I've seen their dedication. I've seen their knowledge, their expertise, their full concern for the students, for the teachers, for the communities. And I don't have a problem if they don't have a problem with understanding the need for the continuation of the review of these standards. And so, members, if MDE is okay with this, and we talk all the time about local control or unique control or specific controls of areas within our government, if MDE is happy to continue this work, if the teachers who are working on this are happy to continue this work, if you want to see a group of people that work like fire, when they are multitasking, you sit in on a focus group with teachers. The ideas that come out of there, the experience, the stories, the understanding of what our students actually really need is astounding. The energy in these groups could probably electrify this entire building because they care. And so do all of those employees in the Minnesota Department of Education. They want to make sure that our students have the most up-to-date, the most current pieces of information and experiences globally, not just here in Minnesota, not just in our own towns and cities, but globally. They need to understand the consequences of actions. For every action, there is a reaction. And kids want to know that understanding. They want to understand how one piece of action can ripple across the world into incredible changes. Sometimes good, sometimes not so bad. And so I want to support this amendment of Senator Swedzinski, and I want all of you to do it because we need to move forward. We can't sit still, we can't wait. This is the time to do it, and if everybody is willing, let's let them do it. So please, vote green for this amendment.
Next on the list, we have Senator Abler, followed by Senator Uyghur. Senator Abler.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Well, this is an interesting debate. I think it's just getting a little bit too complicated. I talked to my superintendent. We have the largest district in the state. He said, there's one thing you can do for us. And I didn't think of this till I heard the debate going on. Could you just put a pause in these changes? We are being crushed with all the challenges of COVID. Mr. President, just members here, look at how inefficient we become with COVID. It's half the members don't come, or not half, but a whole bunch come from time to time. We can't have in-person meetings. You can't have the face-to-face. You can't sort things out. And I have to tell you, I don't know how conference committees are going to go, but we're going to get them done because we have to. But in he just said, could you put a pause in? Because we have a lot to do. And our students are challenged, the teachers are challenged, the parents are challenged, the bus drivers are challenged. Everybody's challenged. And if they could just catch their breath and help the kids, get on track with where they were, it would really help. So that's all this does. It doesn't do anything to say anybody is not doing all they can do. This has been really, really hard times. So my superintendent says, could you just give us a little pause? Thank you, Mr. President.
Next, I have Senator Uyghur, followed by Senator Pratt. Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Senator Abler, your comment, yes, the superintendents, parents, and others at the local level are asking for that breathing room. I agree. This amendment, the Swedzinski amendment, which I rise to support, addresses that. It provides a timeout on the rollout of various aspects of the academic standards, but the mission overall would continue at the department, though there are some exceptions, and if we need to restate those, I can. Maybe the elephant in the room, if you will, is social studies. I don't think, Senator Chamberlain, it's been mentioned yet, and Mr. President, would Senator Chamberlain yield?
Senator Chamberlain will yield. Senator Uyghur.
Thank you. Mr. President, Senator Chamberlain, prior to the introduction of this bill, there was a great deal of concern expressed by some of the members in your caucus about the first draft in December of the social studies standards. In fact, I believe there was coverage on Friends of Fox News nationally, and go after it. That's your First Amendment right, and for discussion, petitioning, etc. We should have a free flow of ideas. And there were a lot of postings about stopping this process on social studies, and I can give you several examples. Senator Chamberlain, does this bill have any relation to the concern on social studies standards?
Senator Chamberlain.
Mr. President, Senator Uyghur, it is no wonder the public standing out there, and if you poll them, they say the top, what profession do you dislike and distrust the most? Attorneys, car salesmen, and politicians. It's no wonder. This is simply a non sequitur, laughable joke. The bill is simple. Delay implementation of all the standards. Not one, not two, not three, all 6. This has nothing to do with talking about solving, again, all the world's problems. 6 standards, stop temporarily and support the schools. Is it so difficult, members and Senator Uyghur, to say, I want to really help those kids? You stand there and you say you want to help the kids, but all I hear is, I'm defending MDE. I'm defending the teachers union. So we can continue going down this path, or you can focus on what we have here in front of us. All these bills today were simply about supporting kids, parents, and those educators. And that's all this is. So you can either walk the walk, or you can simply talk it. This is all standards, everything helping kids, parents, and schools and relieving them for a couple of years. They can continue doing what they're doing. So this is just a joke. It is a laughable situation. Any third grader can see
Mr. President.
see the non sequiturs here.
Senator
Mr. President,
for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you remind the debate here that we're not impugning motives of why people are making their comments? I think Senator Chamberlain alluded to people's interest in why they're saying their remarks, and I think that's out of order.
Members, I'll encourage you to follow the Senate rules of not impugning the motives of others. Senator Chamberlain.
Wherever that was, I apologize. I don't think it was there. But these are arguments that have nothing to do with this particular piece of legislation. They are straw men, red herrings, non sequiturs, pick the words you want. This is one simple thing for one simple issue. Please help the kids. Please do all you can to support the kids, the districts, and the educators. That's it. That is it. There's nothing more, nothing less, and you can't make anything more out of it. You just voted to en masse to support MCAs and say that's a good idea to have accountability. So let's just focus on the simple piece here. Senator Uyghur is asking about my motives. It's always been the same. This bill was introduced quite a while ago. So my motives are kids, families, educators, and my motive, members, is right here. Let's give it a delay. Let's give them some room to breathe. And yes, they need to catch up because everybody else on the planet says they've fallen behind. Thank you, members.
Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I also share, Senator Chamberlain, your passion for representing students and parents and working with staff that implements the standards. And I strongly believe this is a very responsible compromise. My question related to social studies, and I didn't hear a response. And you made a reference to us defending MDE. Well, we defend the work that they're trying to do. We defend the committee. But let's bring it back to White Bear Lake. Mr. President, would Senator Chamberlain yield? Mr. President, Senator Chamberlain.
Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chamberlain will yield. Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Chamberlain, do you know who Jessica Ellison is?
Senator Chamberlain.
I'm not familiar.
Okay.
Senator Uyghur.
Mr. President, would Senator Chamberlain continue to yield?
Senator Chamberlain will yield. Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Chamberlain, Jessica Ellison is a member of the White Bear Lake School Board. She has testified various times over the past years regarding civics and other issues. She's also the president of the Social Studies Group. She also has, I believe, 5 kids attending school in the White Bear Lake District. She's a parent. And she is strongly, passionately concerned about disbanding the Social Studies Committee. This is local. Let's bring it to parents. And there's an example, and I can give you several others.
Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Senator Uyghur, Mr. President. This has nothing to do with anything but addressing a temporary delay to support educators, parents, and kids. That's all this is, members. There's nothing more than that. It's a short bill, one paragraph, 6, 7 lines. That's it. It has nothing to do with anything else. That's it.
Senator Uyghur.
Mr. President, I respectfully and strongly disagree. This puts a deep freeze on academic standards review and revision. This is not in the best interest of students. Social studies is directly impacted, and the timing was remarkably coincidental. I have letters from several groups.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Mr. President.
Mr. Point of order.
Hold on, Senator Benson.
Here we go again, Mr.
Senator
Mr.
Chamberlain,
President.
hold on, please. Hold on. Senator Benson, for what
Point
reason
of
you
order,
rise? Please
Senator.
state your point of order.
Senator Uyghur was impugning motives of Senator Chamberlain's bill and its introduction. Please remind him that we do not impugn motives on the Senate floor.
Members, both our Senate rules and Mason's clearly state that we do not impugn the motives of other members in this chamber. Senator Uyghur, please continue with your comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to offer the A7 amendment.
Mr. President, we are on the A5.
It's an amendment to the amendment.
Senator Uyghur, is this an amendment to the amendment?
It's to be drafted that way, yes.
Senator Uyghur, we're told that it's not drafted that way, so we either...
Okay, we will hold.
I'm sorry, Senator Uyghur, I did not hear what you said.
Okay, Mr. President, I will wait till we act on Senator Swedinsky's motion. I will have a couple of comments, though, before we act.
Okay. Next on the list, members, we're on the A5 amendment. Next on the list is Senator Pratt, followed by Senator Benson. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I just want to say a few words. I was Senator Franzen suggested that we are trying to demonize our educators by passing this bill. It's not true. She suggests that we are having a pessimistic outlook on where our students are at. Mr. President, our students are falling behind. It's not an opinion. Maybe certain students aren't falling behind, but generally many of our students are. CARE 11 reported many districts report the number of failing and no credit grades given in the first quarter of 2020 is double, triple, or more than the number of failing grades in the fall of 2019. There was a suburban high school that saw an increase from 14% to 14% failure for hybrid students and 29% for distance learners. 2 Greater Minnesota districts are seeing 35% failure rates at the high school, and one of them reported an over 50% failure rate in the middle school. This is not a pessimistic outlook, Mr. President. These are facts. These are facts. The Department of Education and the Walz administration should be focused on improving student success and achievement in the classroom and helping to make up for these gaps. Senator Kunish, just in the last bill, mentioned how stressed MDE was they couldn't come up with a plan for remote testing. And yet, here we're saying that something that's not even as urgent. We have standards. We have standards in place for social studies and math and all the others that are being talked about today. It's not a point of whether or not we have a pessimistic outlook. It's about making sure that we put our time and energy to what's urgent, and what's urgent is the success of our students in the classroom. I appreciate what Senator Chamberlain is trying to do with this bill, and I strongly urge members to vote against the A5 amendment.
Further discussion on the A5 amendment, Senator Benson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask people to vote no on the A5 amendment. There's been some statements that students will fall farther behind if we don't update these standards. I want to remember the parents who might be watching, the people who might post something like that on social media, and the members of this body, that teachers can add information to the curriculum as it becomes relevant. They can use their professional judgment. They don't have to wait for permission from MDE to update how they teach and what they teach. The MDE standards are the floor, not the ceiling. Teachers can use their professional judgment in collaboration with other teachers on their curriculum committee, taking feedback from other colleagues in other schools, and they can update what they teach in their classroom. They do not need to wait, and it doesn't need to be top down. And if our schools have a lot on their plate, maybe what we need to do is just pause from giving them new things to work on so that they can spend this time helping our kids catch up, letting teachers adjust from the chaos that it has felt like in many classrooms in this past year. And let the teachers use their professional judgment for those things that are innovative and exciting in their classroom. No teacher is going to stand there and say, I have new information and I can't tell my children because the Minnesota Department of Education won't let me. That's simply not true. Teachers can use their professional judgment to update their curriculum and meet the needs of their students. We do not need the A5 amendment to accomplish that. Senator Chamberlain's bill simply creates breathing room, much needed breathing room. So vote no on the A5 and yes on the Chamberlain bill.
Further discussion on the amendment, Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer the A50 amendment.
Senator Uyghur offers the A50 amendment to the amendment. The Secretary will report the A50.
Senator Uyghur moves to amend the Swedzinski amendment to Senate File Number 438 as follows, page 1, line 9, after the period insert. This is the A50 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I expressed a great deal of concern, as have a number of people, including school board members, parents, students, members of the Social Studies Review Group, that we need to continue the process for the Social Studies Review. And they are 40% done. What was very concerning was an attack by this group of teachers and others that somehow we were not going to recognize the importance of the Holocaust, World War I, World War II, and other items. I've added a couple that I'm also concerned about in this amendment, but there was a great deal of angst. And in fact, members of that committee received threatening social media remarks as a result of the draft recommendations. And by the way, they're meeting again on Thursday the 26th. To me, this bill, the underlying bill, would end for 2 years the social studies revisions, and that is not in the best interest of students. And to provide reassurance for those that had concerns about the development of the social studies standards, this amendment would provide comfort that the standards and benchmarks would include the Holocaust, World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, and any other United States-involved conflicts and wars, the January 6, 2021 United States Capitol assault, parenthetically, which occurred since that first draft, and climate change. I urge a green vote, and I ask for a roll call. Thank you.
Roll call has been requested. Roll call will be granted. Discussion on the A50 amendment to the amendment. Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senator Uyghur. I appreciate the attempt to address a particular issue here, which apparently, first, this isn't about social studies. There are a list of 6 ongoing standards and review at various points in the process. So this isn't about social studies. As much as Senator Uyghur and others might want to make it and take it there, this is not about it. This is not about social studies. But Senator Uyghur is apparently saying that there's something wrong with the first draft, but again, this isn't about social studies. It's all the standards. So I appreciate his attempt to address that particular issue, but this isn't about one area. It can't be simpler. It can't be clearer. 7 lines. 7 lines. Let's delay all this to help kids, parents, and educators and support them through the process to catch up. That's it. So while we appreciate an attempt to do something here, this isn't about social studies. You might as well bring something about art or physical education or science or math or language arts. This simply isn't about one issue. It's all of them. So members, I recommend a red vote on these amendments. They just don't pertain to what we're talking about. It's just a poor attempt to direct this argument somewhere else. This is simple. Either delay and help out the schools and the kids and the parents, or you vote not to delay it and let the MDE continue supporting other things. So members, vote red. It's just simply not about one issue, and this is a poor attempt to go another direction. There's 6 standards we're trying to address here all across the board. So red vote. Thank you.
Further discussion on the amendment to the amendment. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, I would challenge the germaneness under 35.2, both paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. It does relate to a substantially different subject. The underlying bill refers to a delay in the standards, not to any specific standards. And secondly, it accomplishes a substantially different purpose than just the delay. It starts this body down a conversation of establishing specific standards in various curricula. This happens to be social studies curricula, but the underlying amendment deals with, or the underlying bill deals with all curricula. So substantially different subject, not just the delay, but specific standards, and also a substantially different purpose, not just a delay, but would lead the body to amend specific standards in place.
Senator Benson rises to raise a point of order under Rule 35.2 that the A50 amendment is not germane. Discussion, advice for the President. Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know if you play horseshoes, but this is a dead ringer for germaneness. The bill is addressing academic standards in Minnesota, and directly impacted would be social studies. Though they are not indicating that was their intent, that is the impact. Social study revisions would halt, as well as everything else being done. The academic standards are clearly being addressed right now. It's included in the amendment. It's the underlying purpose of the bill, as well as the Swedinsky amendment. And the purpose is to make clear regarding the standards and benchmarks that certain things will be included. We can agree or disagree on what those items are, which the study committee is trying to do, but it is clearly germane. This is academic standards and addressing the benchmarks, which is what education is all about for Minnesota students. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Further advice, Senator Benson.
Senator Uyghur did acknowledge that the underlying bill is about halting standards, and that this amendment applies specific standards or specific criteria for standards to be implemented. So in his own speech, he acknowledged the underlying bill halts, and this is about specific standards. The two things do not purport germaneness, and I believe my point of order is well taken.
Further advice, Senator Uyghur.
Well, Mr. President, I just reiterate this is a bill about academic standards and benchmarks, and this makes clear what our position is.
Further advice, Senator Chamberlain.
Yeah, Mr. President, members, this is not about academic standards. It's not about curriculum. What he's talking about here is curriculum. The bill I bring before today has nothing to do with curriculum. It doesn't single out anything. What he's inserted here, revised to include A, B, C, X, Y, Z. That is redoing curriculum. It has nothing to do with the underlying bill. The underlying bill is delaying all standards. The underlying bill does not address curriculum. So that is why this isn't germane. He is addressing curriculum and not the delay of everything. So this is about, his amendment, again, is about curriculum, is not addressing anything, and my bill does not address curriculum per se or exactly. He wants to rewrite it partially in here. And I'm sure MDE and others would have a word or two about that. Thank you, Mr. President. So I agree it's not germane.
Further advice, Senator Friends?
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thanks once again for being thoughtful about these germaneness objections. Germaneness relates to, is it germane? Are they related? It does not talk about whether we go down a rabbit hole. The issue before you, Mr. President, is it germane? A member of this body, when the Senate E12 committee passed this bill, directly linked the social studies standards to the bill. So just to ask Mr. President to consider what we're talking about here, which is the proposed changes have drawn criticism for advancing a non-academic political agenda at the expense of landmark historical events such as the Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War I and II, and the Holocaust, or important historical figures like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson. I mention that to you, Mr. President, because here's an example of a member of this body doing exactly what the A50 amendment purports to do, which is say if we're going to have a bill that relates to these academic standards, let's put specific things in them. And I would urge you to consider the germaneness, Mr. President. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Senator Uyghur.
Thank you.
Further advice.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Chamberlain said that my amendment addressed curriculum. False. Local school districts address curriculum. This is an academic standard, and the definition is in 120B.018 sub 2. Academic standard means a summary description of student learning in a required content area, and benchmark gets to specific knowledge. Moreover, I believe it was the American experiment, which had quite a bit of play, talked about the benchmark on Holocaust, the benchmark on World War I and World War II and other items. I want to provide reassurance for those people,
Mr. President,
that we are
Mr.
including
President.
reference.
Senator Benson, for
could you
what reason?
direct Senator Uyghur to make his comments to germaneness?
Members, Senator Uyghur, any further comments? I'm going to rule that the point of order is not well taken and the amendment is germane. We're on the A50 amendment to the amendment. Any further comments? A roll call has been requested. Seeing no further discussion, the secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote, and members in the president's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237 and members in 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 237 and 206. I will call on Senator Frentz to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report an aye for Senator Bigham.
Bigham votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Carlson.
Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Champion.
Champion votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Clausen.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Dibble.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Eaton.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Isaacson.
Isaacson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Latz.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Marty.
Marty votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
I report an aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Frentz.
And I report an aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes no.
Anderson votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes no.
Coleman votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmick votes no.
Osmick votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes no.
Newman votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes no.
Ingebrigtsen votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Nelson votes yes.
Nelson votes yes. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes no.
Senjum votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Weber votes no.
Weber votes no.
Senator Westrom votes no.
Westrom votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rosen votes no.
Rosen votes no. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 30 ayes and 34 nays, the motion has not prevailed. The amendment to the amendment is not adopted. Members, we're back on the A5 amendment. Senator Swedzinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've heard a lot of talk today that it's not about soul studies. It's not about soul studies. Well, it is. It is about social studies. Ask any soul studies teacher in the state, in your districts. Call the high schools and the middle schools. Ask the social studies department chairs what they think, and see if they tell you, yeah, you're right. It's not about soul studies. Because I think you'll find they'll tell you it is about social studies. And again, I love the debate today that we want to give the schools more breathing room. That is music to my ears. But this is not giving the schools more breathing room. It's adding 2 years to something that the social studies teachers have already waited 10 years for. I taught social studies for 33 years. And every 10 years, it was like the holidays. Every holiday wrapped up into one, where you got to sit around with your colleagues, and you went through curriculum, and you went through the standards and the benchmarks, and you went through textbooks, and you got to buy new wall maps, and you got to buy new software. And it was this wonderful, wonderful time period. And every 10 years, every soul studies teacher loved that time, because it was something they looked forward to the last few years. As many of you have alluded to, the world has changed in the last 10 years. The country has changed. Our communities have changed. And our social studies departments have waited 10 years to bring about those changes into their curriculum based on the Minnesota Department of Education's recommendations for their standards and their benchmarks. I can't, with good conscience, ask them to wait another 2 years when they've been waiting already for so long. The work's begun. The process has begun. The revisions have begun. Now we're simply waiting for implementation. I ask my colleagues to vote green on the amendment.
Any final discussion on the A5 amendment? Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Swedinsky. Again, vote red on the amendment. It would undo what we're trying to do here with this bill, and that's to support kids, parents, and educators, to focus all resources to supporting them and catching them up in the next year. It's about saving time, but it's about saving money. Some of these schools, if a large district, could be $2 to $5 million, as I said earlier, per subject. And they're just asking for a little breathing room, and that's all this does. So the proposal, Senator Swedinsky's A5 will undo that attempt to help those districts and those educators get through this and recover. It doesn't stop anything. It's a temporary delay. Members, vote red on the amendment. It simply doesn't help our parents, kids, and educators. Thank you.
Members, we are on the A5 amendment. Any final discussion? Seeing none, the secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in the president's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote, and members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. I will call on Senator Frentz to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Bigham votes aye.
Bigham votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes aye.
Champion votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes aye.
Clausen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes aye.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes aye.
Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes aye.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes aye.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes aye.
Isaacson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes aye.
Marty votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes aye.
Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes aye.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes aye.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes no.
Anderson votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes no.
Coleman votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmick votes no.
Osmick votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes no.
Newman votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes no.
Ingebrigtsen votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Nelson votes no.
Nelson votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes no.
Senjum votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Weber votes no.
Weber votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Westrom votes no.
Westrom votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rosen votes no.
Rosen votes no. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 28 ayes and 36 nays, the motion does not prevail. The amendment is not adopted. Members, back on Senate File 438. The secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 438, a bill for an act relating to education.
Third reading. Final comments on the bill. Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's always a good day when we can be focused on students, parents, the future of our state. And while we do have some disagreements, obviously, ultimately, we seem to come together in May on some of the overall initiatives. I believe we offered a constructive amendment that we just defeated, which addressed the fundamental concern about breathing room at the schools, and we support that. But we emphasize the importance of continuing the mission, for example, in the social studies standards, and that parents and teachers and others are involved, and they're asking for this to continue. You can't put in a deep freeze knowledge, especially when you've been waiting for 10 years as statutorily required. Moreover, the department has said, and the volunteers have said, we can do it. I won't read the whole letter, but the 38 members of the Social Studies Review Committee, they're somewhat disillusioned, disheartened, but they're going to meet again on the 26th. And one of the co-chairs is from Deer River, I believe, and his name is Matt Karlstrom. I just want to read a couple of his comments. He's a track coach and does a lot of things in the community. And he wanted to get involved in this. He said, more importantly, I recognize that only about half of my students, he's in the Deer River area, half of my students were represented in the standards, and they need to be changed. Minnesota is changing demographically, economically, culturally, and our education system should rise to address these changes and support all students, regardless of color. In order to do so, all of our students must see themselves represented in that education so that they can work together to create a better tomorrow. One of the greatest obstacles Minnesota faces is the achievement gap. The University of Chicago has done research that prove that having an inclusive education where BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, students see themselves representing, that narrows the gap. And then he concludes, change can be tense, but that's okay. That's what leadership and governing are all about, says Matt Karlstrom. Listening to people share their stories and outline their goals, and then digging in and working collaboratively to produce, in this case, the best standards that are inclusive and representative of our changing demographics and are aware of our history, our warts and all. If we want the great state of Minnesota to continue to be a national leader, we must give all of our citizens, all of them, the opportunity to see themselves and hear their stories in our K-12 public schools. The committee feels strongly. They're meeting March 26th. And members, I doubt that this will ultimately become law. And the standards will hopefully continue and get its work done for students and parents that are counting on this. Yes, there is some relief, but you know how I spell relief? Due north, the Walls Plan for $150 million in recovery for our schools. Let's put that up as soon as possible. Most of it is federal money anyway. We liberated, I guess there was approval today for $57.5 million, and that was from an earlier federal bill. Let's provide real relief. We can do it. I'm opposing this bill, though, because it falls short. Vote red.
Final discussion on Senate File 438, Senator Duckworth, followed by Senator Chamberlain. Senator Duckworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the spirited discussion and debate that has taken place today amongst members of all parties as it relates especially to our kids. Many valid points were made, many that I agree with. I would just say this, members. Imagine if after having just completed a marathon, you were asked to immediately run another one. No pause, no time to recover, no chance to heal. Members, this bill gives our kids, teachers, and schools a chance to finish one marathon before beginning another. New standards require investment, resources, and time. It could require curriculum changes. Textbooks could change, which would mean lessons plans have to change, which means the day-to-day operations of our schools would have to change. During a time in which the daily operations of our schools already face a significant degree of uncertainty, as well as an unprecedented workload. Sometimes as a leader, you need to push pause and assess the health and well-being of your organization, especially when it's been through times of unprecedented upheaval, change, and uncertainty. This bill provides the breathing room. More importantly, it gives our schools and teachers the time they desperately need to welcome our kids back, to wrap their arms around them, and see where they are, academically, socially, and emotionally. From there, we can rebuild. From there, we can work on updating standards. From there, we can focus on strengthening our public schools and putting our kids first. We can do it together if we choose to. I remain optimistic about our ability to do so. Thank you, Mr. President.
Final discussion on Senate File 438, Senator Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Short bill. Good comments from people today. Senator Abler and Senator Duckworth, marathons and complicating things. I misspoke earlier. This bill is 4 lines long, if you include the title. It's simple. Again, all these bills today had a single theme and single purpose: supporting kids, parents, educators to recover from the shutdowns. There are some disagreements in different areas along the way, but the common thread, the common theme is just that. Stop, catch your breath, give some breathing room, allow them to do what they need to do to catch up and recover. For the kids' sake, for the parents' sake, for the educators' sake. This bill has one purpose, and it is you can't slice it and dice it any way you wish or desire. It's about a temporary delay in implementing those standards and reviewing those standards. So all resources at MDE can be pushed down and focused on recovering and supporting those districts and kids, the schools and the educators. That's it. That's it. That's what we're voting on here. We're going to vote for relief for those individuals and for those people we serve. Or are we going to continue to play politics and chase things that aren't there? So members, I encourage a green vote. It's a good bill, continues the relief effort for, I'll say it one more time, kids, parents, and educators. Thank you.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 438. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room and the president's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Retiring room and president's office. Members in rooms 237 and 206, please come to the chamber to vote. Rooms 237 and 206. I will call on Senator Jasinski to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Osmick votes aye.
Osmick votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Weber votes aye.
Weber votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Westrom votes aye.
Westrom votes aye.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rosen votes aye.
Rosen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Bigham votes no.
Bigham votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Carlson votes no.
Carlson votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Champion votes no.
Champion votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Clausen votes no.
Clausen votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Dibble votes no.
Dibble votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes no.
Eaton votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes no.
Eakin votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes no.
Fateh votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Isaacson votes no.
Isaacson votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes no.
Latz votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Marty votes no.
Marty votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes no.
Newton votes no. Senator Frentz.
Senator Torres Ray votes no.
Torres Ray votes no. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wickland votes no.
Wickland votes no. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 37 ayes and 27 nays, the bill is passed and it's titled agreed to. Members, we have an addendum that we're going to wrap up here very quickly. We'll revert to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move the committee report printed in the addendum be adopted with the exception of the report pertaining to Joint Rule 2.03.
Discussion on the Gazelka motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. Next, we'll move to the sixth order of business, second reading of Senate bills. The secretary will read the Senate file numbers.
Senate file numbers 1795, 952, and 1333.
These Senate files are given their second reading. Next, we'll move to the 13th order of business, announcements of Senate interests. Without objection, the following senators will be excused from today's session. Senator Klein all day, Senator Rest all day, Senator Murphy from 1:40 p.m. to the end of session. Announcements of Senate interests, Senator Dames.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commerce will meet 10 minutes after session ends.
Senator Rude.
Mr. President, Environment and Natural Resources Policy will meet 10 minutes after we end.
Any other announcements of Senate interest? Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we adjourn, I just want to say we're Yeah, we have our targets out, and the House, we think, is going to put their targets out tomorrow, I believe it is. So we're moving into that place where we'll negotiate joint targets and rush to the finish line. So just be aware of that. But the other thing I wanted to say is I think there's some really good news today. For the first time in almost a year, there's been 0 deaths from COVID. So you think about that as we're trying to get back to normal. That is fantastic news. And so I think it's something we all can celebrate because it points to the fact that we're moving through this. Really, really good news. Mr. President, I move the Senate do now adjourn until Wednesday, March 24th at 12 noon.
Senator Gazelka moves that the Senate do now adjourn until Wednesday, March 24th at noon. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion prevails. The Senate is adjourned.